Good evening. It's 8 o'clock. It's Tuesday or Wednesday. It's the beginning of the week. It's time for macro talk. How's everybody doing? Yeah, it's fun. See this? That sound. You should be hearing me talking through that. And it should sound good. Thanks to Robert Stowrost. He brought you this sound. So say thank you to him. In fact, he got me two of these little boogers, the Samson CO2s, condenser microphones, and I think they work quite well. I don't have to put them in my mouth to talk, and they seem to pick up the sound. Can you hear me? Good sound, good video. Well, you won't be saying that about the video for long. Problems with getting one of the cameras going for some reason today. It's been a week. It has been insane. You know, it's the holiday coming up. You heard about that? Kwanzaa next week. And as a result of that, everything slowed down to a thunderous roar. And I've been teaching every day and making videos and doing some photography. And I've just been so busy. I'm looking forward to the break at Christmas. I have 11 minutes off for Christmas. And yeah, I should tell you about the schedule, shouldn't I? This is a completely seat of the pants kind of live stream tonight. I know it always seems that way, even when I plan it, but this one really is. And I'm going to just do the best I can. I've got some stuff I want to show you and tell you about. And then for Thursday, it'll be more of the same, only a bit more directed. We've got some business to take care of. If you are invested in this whole process of the live streams, if you think it's a good idea, if you think this last year has added something to your macro experience because of the live streams, please come on Thursday and let me know what worked, what didn't work, what you want to see different, because on Thursday I'm going to get your feedback and plan the coming year. We've got so much coming up this next year. I mean, starting with a thunderous bang at the beginning. I think probably the first week or so we'll have Mr. Leon from Laowa. Tomorrow, according to what's that shipping company of something Express. Anyway, they're delivering the Cine Macro camera tomorrow, the 100mm. I am beside myself with excitement about that. We're going to be doing video all January, so that's on. Mr. Lee will be here, and then the lens will be here, and we're just going to learn all about it. It's going to be fun. Let me see what else. Christmas is on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday. It's one of those days early next week. And yeah, I'll be here. I will be doing the regular per Zoom on Saturday, which is Christmas Eve, I believe. And yeah, I'm not sure what we're doing, but it will be fun, and I'll be doing it probably from the back of my car or something like that, because there will be people all around, because we're having a festive season this year, and people will be here. So I will hide from them. So that's the plan. There will be a per Zoom, albeit a messy one, I feel. And Tuesday, I'm going to have to move from one place to another to do Tuesday's live stream, but I think I have enough time. So it also will be a complete mess. But Tuesday, if you're ready for a little bit of regular old insanity, show up on Tuesday at 8 o'clock as always. There will be a live stream. So I'm not going to miss any live streams. That's the plan. Today, lots of random updates, some stuff I want to show you, some things I want to tell you about. I'm going to try and do an at the desk DIY because I just came up with it and I thought it was brilliant and I should get a Nobel Prize for it, but I won't. I won't get recognized for it even at all, but I will show you how to do it. So if you're running out of ideas for what to get people for Christmas, this is an absolute no-brainer if you can do it without removing any of your fingers. It involves power tools, so that's not a foregone conclusion. You know what giblets are? Giblets are the bits that normal people would throw away from the inside of a turkey or a chicken. Things unmentionable things. And yeah, but people eat them. Yep. I quite like them, actually. That's what giblets are. And this whole live stream is going to be like a large steaming pile of giblets. Somehow doesn't sound as good coming out of my mouth as it did in my head. It sounded like a pretty descriptive term. Let me see. Is there something special you want to do on Boxing Day? If I have enough time to do it, I could do the whole thing from the road. Yeah, let me think about it. We'll come up with something spectacular to start the new cycle. All right, video at the macro level. This is going to be something entirely new, and I am so excited to be getting the opportunity to do this with you. I asked for several of you, I asked all of you to give me some feedback months ago. And, you know, I am almost caught up in the Walls app on the messaging. And I went back through and I've been answering messages from months ago, but I found all of these wonderful, very detailed answers to my question. And it's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing an in-depth look at video, how you do it, what's different about video at the macro scale, what you need to take into account, the problems, the equipment. It's going to be tremendous fun. So thank you to everybody who did that. In fact, thank you to everybody who sent me messages and then were patient and waited for answers. Because even though there were questions that I was coming across as I was doing my messages last night at 3 o'clock in the morning, I might add, I was coming across things that people had asked me 2 months ago. But I answered them because that was always my intention, to get to all the messages and answer them, and gave them a good answer. And I'm just grateful to you guys for bearing with me. It's going to be a while before we get any help. But maybe next year it'll be the time. If you keep those occasional donations coming, that's all going in the kitty to hire someone. But thank you for everybody who's been giving me ideas, giving me feedback. Some of it's positive, some of it's not, but it's all worth it. It's all good. I like to hear all of it. Let me see. We're kind of starting over next year. You know that? That's the feeling it has to me. We're starting over because we've changed things. Thanks to Patrick, who has almost well, that's not fair. It's not single-handedly. There's lots of people have been involved, but Patrick has restructured the flow of data through this organization. And he's done it in a way that is really fantastic because of Bud and Susan and all the people that are giving their time to help with the messaging. They're able to get messages temporarily answered and get the stuff passed on to me to deal with the things I need to, but it's keeping everything flowing. The fact that I'm almost caught up, I've just got a few more messages to go, and we'll be actually caught up in the messaging app, which is fantastic. Very exciting stuff, but I couldn't have done it without Patrick, couldn't have done it without the volunteers. And next year, I think we're going to start that way. And it should be a whole lot easier to keep it that way than it was to get here. I mean, it really has been a struggle the last year or so. But anyway, it's going to free me up, I think, to get more good content out, more good ideas to try. And we have so much stuff. You know, we've got some special guests going to be coming up at the beginning of the year. It's going to be remarkable. We've got all kinds of things. I don't want to tell you all now, or it'll spoil the excitement and the fun. I'm missing some thank yous. That occurred to me after. I went to a fair amount of trouble to make sure I said thank you to everybody that I could think of at Thanksgiving. But then in the process of going through my messages, I'm finding lots and lots of other people that should have been mentioned and will be. I'm not going to do it now. We've already done the thank you episode, and I will get in touch with everybody that's done good stuff, and thank you personally. It's just been hard to keep up, but there have been so many things, little things, and if you are, say, called Mike and you live in Arizona and you're thinking, hell, you're never going to see those beetles, are you? You are, because I'm mailing them this week. Your Japanese beetles are on their way to you, and if your name is Avery, and you haven't given up on me completely, you need to call me, because we have some sessions to set up. So I've messaged you, and you should have that now. So give me a call. Not now. Don't call me now, because I'm busy. After this, you can call me, and we'll set up a time, and we'll get you where you need to be. So lessons have been going well. We have got some photographers in the audience out there. That microphone is casting a shadow on the middle of my forehead that makes it look like a tumor of some kind. Yeah, bad thinking on my planning on my part. We've got some great photographers, you know, and the more I teach, the more I realize just how good you guys are. Some really stunning photographs I've seen this week, and I hope you get to see them all through the competitions and everything else. Competition? What competition? The December competition, for example, that is a big one. It's an important one. It's the gosh, that shadow is going to irritate the crap out of me before long. It's very big competition, because it's whatever you want to turn in, as long as it's macro. Wild card is what we call it. Have you turned it in? I haven't been over there to look. But yeah, this is your chance for fame and glory and a prize. Actually, several prizes. I was going to give these away tonight, and then I thought, how can I ever keep up with all of that? I couldn't. I've tried to give these away twice, but the people that won them were all in Europe, and they said it will cost us more to go pick them up at the post office and pay the penalties than it would to buy them over there. So they left them with us. But now, this is Vivian Daly gave the contribution of this equipment that I'm going to be giving as the prize in December, along with, believe it or not, some time with me to kind of balance the prize with a little bit of a punishment. Yeah, I'm going to be teaching you something. So yeah, that will be the other half of your prize. But look at this. You're going to get 3 of these incredible clamps. Vivian's saying, 3? I sent 4. Well, something happened to the 4th one. I will find it, and there will be 4, but for right at this minute, there's just 3 for me to show. These are fantastic. They are so much nicer. Let me see if I've got the right microphone. Now I do. Yes, okay. You should hear me now. Okay, all right. So these are the clamps. They're absolutely fantastic. They're like the clamps I use, only good. And I had to use one in an emergency, and I'm having trouble putting it back in the bag. It's such a nice clamp. But anyway, 4 of these with the appropriate spigot that you need to make it work. One of these things. Yep. So you get 4 and 4, and that's a good prize. And then you'll have an hour or 2 with me to learn something. Maybe, or I'll learn something. That's I taught a lesson to my friend Jay last night. He has an interesting focus in his photography. He takes pictures of one particular plant, not one plant in a pot, you know, the only plant that he photographs. It's one kind of plant. And I didn't get permission to show one of his pictures, which is a shame. I should have done. I'll show it next time if I can get permission from him. But he takes just stunning pictures, and I really, really think you're going to like seeing them. You've seen some of them in the competition, but yeah, fantastic to see. And your very own Amy is another person who's got some real talent there in all kinds of ways. not just the photography. She's a musician. Did you know that? Am I allowed to say that? Did I just blow it there, Amy? She's fantastic. I listened to her music all weekend. Just exactly up my alley. Anyway, it's wonderful. Did you know I was a musician? I'm not really. I just play the guitar, but not a musician. I'm the farthest thing from it. So where was I? I was getting ready to tell you about the positioning system that the thing, the device that is in the final stages of prototyping. We had some very important developments this last week, and I can't tell you about any of them because they're all top secret. But we are getting where we need to go, and in the not too distant future, you are going to be able to be one of the few people on the planet that has this entirely unique object if you want it. Those of you who came forward and raised your hand to be a beta tester, and all that goes along with that, I have spoken to each of you by email, and I am going to set up a meeting for all of us to talk together. It occurred to me it's crazy to do that individually because the questions are all going to be much the same. So I'll set that up. Just bear with me. It won't be this week because of Christmas. But between the holidays, we'll be doing that. So be on the lookout for a message from me about that. And that will get us several steps closer to getting this thing on the road. And it's fun. I'm back there using it right now. Have you ever seen a complete die? No? Would you like to? You've seen computer chips, I know, because I photograph them all the time and I've shown them to you. And the chips that I use are fairly small, discrete chips. But they had to start somewhere, and they started as part of a larger piece of silicone that had several of them. And this, I meant to show you this last time, and I may have shown some of you at some point, but this is what a die looks like. The whole thing. This is actually CPUs, the actual chip for the CPU from the 1980s. There are several dozen, 100, something like that, on this disk. They're all the same, and they're faulty, as in there was an error and they couldn't use them. But these are uncut and ready to photograph. They're great for taking pictures taking pictures with new cameras if you want to check out your optics and what have you. Great fun. These are pristine. They don't have a scratch on them because they're in a protective case, a box. Let me show you from the top. It's worth looking at, actually. Somewhere in here. What's that thing called? The camera phone. Yeah, there you go. So there it is. It's in this lovely little case. I don't want to touch it. And this starfish has been trained to lie on top of it like that. And then the whole thing is protected. So that's the way it's been ever since it was made. And you're probably thinking, well, Alan, how are you going to hold that thing in a horizontal rig without touching it or without it falling over? Because you have to hold it very still and very flat. Well, I'm glad you asked, because I invented something this afternoon. It's called a die holder. Yeah, I know, it's a pretty awful name. But yeah, I just came up with it this afternoon because the thing I was using was not working. I've got a doodad, this, that goes on the positioner. Actually, that's upside down. It goes on like this. And this is an X-Acto knife thingamajig, so it's good for holding pins. But that's not what we have here. We have something flat, made of glass, that needs to be held flat. How would you do that? Maybe you'd get with your friends over at the Tangent and Chamfer Hour, the new 3D modeling club that's going to be meeting every month on Saturdays after Pazoom, starting on the 20th of January. That is Larry and I are going to be doing a 3D modeling thing, live event. For anybody with any or no experience at all. Doesn't matter what platform you use, doesn't matter if you've had your printer for 10 minutes or 10 years. Come, because we're going to have fun. We're going to talk, we're going to learn stuff, we're going to have a good time. But that's neither here nor there. I didn't have time to print the thing this afternoon, so I made it out of wood. This is a die holder. It is. I can say that with confidence because I just invented it. Let me put that other camera on so you can see it again from the other angle. It's just a piece of wood that I cut a slice out of very carefully with a saw and a drill and then a knife. And then I put a little rubbery pad in there that is split in two. And the die slides right into it like thusly and holds it like a silicone lollipop. Whoops, there you go. And that goes in the holder, so it goes upright on the stage, and it's perfect. Can hold it all day long without any problem at all, I think. I mean, I'm just saying that because I haven't actually used it yet, but I did make it this afternoon. Isn't that nice? Somebody's going to say, that's been done before, Alan. That's a clothes peg you just reinvented. Well, that's true. It might be, but there you go. It pleased me to come up with it, and it's going to work just fine. You're probably wondering, what am I going to take the picture of that lovely piece of silicone with? Well, I think for this particular set of photographs, I'm going to take the picture with the best 5x magnification macro lens camera assembly in the whole universe. Bar none, the very best. The very, very best. This. Is that not a thing of consummate beauty? This is the Nikon Z8. It's the newest flagship mirrorless camera from Nikon. Just absolutely superb. All the bells and whistles. Lovely camera. An FTZ adapter connecting to the one and only 200mm f4 micro Nikkor. The sharpest macro lens on the planet, in my opinion, and a beautiful copy thereof. Dr. Susan Seaford donated this. That's me lost for words. That silence, lost for words. This is the relay lens for this objective, which is the Mitutoyo 5x with a very short infinity space. This is very similar to the setup that Mr. Biss uses. Levon Biss, that does the ginormous photographs of bugs. I'm sure you've seen his work. Amazing stuff. This is what he uses. I don't know about the camera, but he uses the Micro Nikkor 200 f4 with much the same setup here with I think he uses Nikon objectives too. I think he uses the Fluor objective, I think. Anyway, this is the thing. I have taken some pictures with it. I'm not going to show them to you today because I don't have them up and ready, but they are so sharp and so clear. It's just amazing. My friend Bud just added to his collection a very, very important lens, one of probably the best lenses ever made. It's a specialty lens. It's not something that you can really use as a camera lens without some gyrations. It's actually made for photographing negatives, prints of movie stock. But it's a superb lens, and I would give that a run for its money with this. This is incredible. Of course, for this to be incredible, you have to take care of certain things. Probably the things that will make this less incredible is if you don't have a well dampened, vibration controlled studio. You can't shoot with a system like this and get what you should be getting out of it unless you have absolute control of vibration, light, and your subject. And of those, the most important is, without doubt, light. Do you agree? Do you think there is anything more important in macro photography than how you manage light, how you deliver it, how you diffuse it, how you remove it selectively? It's all about the lighting. You know, I was mentioning I've been teaching the last few days and had the opportunity to teach some of the better photographers in our group. And it occurred to me that the conversation always kept coming back to the most important thing of all, and that is how the lighting was done. And if you learn nothing else from hanging around these clever people here, learn that. Learn how to use light properly. Learn how to use light from apparently an infinite number of sources, without specularity, without bright spots. Learn how to diffuse light, and learn how to exclude it. That's another thing that has come up in a couple of my conversations over the last couple of days. One of the great creative tools in macro photography, in all photography, but it's difficult in a lot of other types of photography. You don't control it as well as we do here. But removing light selectively, like a surgical procedure, removing just a cluster of beams to give an accent or a flavor to a particular part of a photograph. It's where the magic is. The difference between an acceptable, a good, clear, sharp macro photograph and a masterpiece is how you light it. Period. It really is. It is all in how you light it. And if you are confused by that, and if you think, well, light is light, no big deal, just shine it on there and take your picture, you probably need to book yourself a lesson or two with me, and we'll talk about light. And I'll explain to you why it is the beginning and the end of everything in macro. The rest of it is detail. I wonder if you guys agree, or if it's not. If light's not the most important thing for creative expression, for technical mastery, what is? What is more important than light? Nothing. Joseph will have something that he will definitely argue is more important, and I want to see what it is. So, Alistair, please show me. Talking about thank yous, I know I say thank you every week to Alistair and to Amy and to Bud, but thank you guys again. I really, really do appreciate having you out there. This is the best thing I ever did, was get you guys to come on board and me stop trying to do everything at the same time. It's really freed up my brain. You wouldn't guess it watching this live stream, but you know, there you go. So I already told you about the sound. What are you thinking of these microphones so far? Are these little mini condensers going to do the trick? I think they are. I did a lot of testing with these after I got them to make sure that they were going to be just right. And they're not terribly expensive, and they came in a pair, so you can use them as a stereo pair, or you can do what I do and just hang on to one of them for when I drop this one, and then there'll be another one to use. But I would be very interested to hear some of you audiophile types tell me whether or not I'm too compressed or too this, that, or the other. It looks from my little colored dots and everything that I'm doing just fine, that it should sound okay. Thanks, Robert. I really appreciate it. And for the other folks who have been offering, Andy, for example, has been offering to help get the microphone sorted out. Thank you, guys. I do not for a second mean thank you. Thank you for your willingness to help. Robert is he's impetuous. He just jumped right on it. He didn't want to waste a minute, so that's why we already have it. There'll be something else that breaks that you can help with, I promise. Okay, so let me see. I'm going to do a DIY thing today. It's a bit risky. because it's DIY. It involves tools. And yeah, and I'm going to try and do it in a very small space. But it's so much fun. I think it's something that you might actually want to try and do. So I thought what I'd do is just show you how to make something. Now, there's a story that goes with it. I was at a thrift shop. It's what I do for my sanity, as you know. It doesn't obviously work, but that's what I do. Is I'll go out when I can, get a break, walk around a thrift shop, and get ideas for things to photograph or things to make. And I saw this painting, and it was shocking. I mean, it was just terrible. I mean, it was not my style of painting. And it was in a frame that looked like it had been through the gastrointestinal tract of a whale or a llama or something. It was shockingly dirty and beaten up and just looked awful. But the idea looked brilliant. What it was a frame that was half wood and half metal, and the metal and the wood, all they were doing was holding together two pieces of glass, and between those two pieces of glass was the painting, in my case the photograph. And I used that I bought it and took it apart and saw how it was all done. And that's what I want to show you. I got two. I made two. In fact, I'm making three. And one of them's for my son's Christmas present, or part of his Christmas present. So he just joined Patreon. So he might even be watching. So look away, son. You don't want to see your Christmas present. Though this is not the actual picture. I'm going to show you a picture you may be familiar with. So this is it. Oh, the light is getting right in it. You recognize my... Oh dear, I've got all the lights in it. Anyway, I'll hold it up so you can see. Maybe over here it won't be so bad. There. So that's all it is. It's the two pieces of glass held together in these bits of wood with the metal tubes, and then some cord. And there's the details where it gets interesting and fun and exciting. Look at the way the cord is. Hang on a sec. Find the camera. The way the cord is secured is with one of my little wrist wrap cameras. And actually, I did the same at the top as a trial thing. It's also got oh dearie me. It's also got a little skull on it, holding the strings together. But I thought it was very nice. What do you think? Do you think that's worth taking a few minutes to try to learn how to build? It's very easy. Yeah, I'm going to show you. All you need... I don't want to break it, so I was putting it down carefully. All you need is the following, or are the following. You need 2 bits of wood. Now, I'm not going to go out and cut the wood, though I did. I got 2 bits ready. Did you hear that? Probably that was deafening, what I just whacked the microphone with this. We need number 2 already. The first one's broken, Robert. So the wood, as always, is reclaimed. These were bits of wood from the hardware shop that used to be part of a stairway. These would just... They looked like they'd been submerged in water. And I planed them down by hand. I mean, it's all done by hand. Now they're lovely. And these will be the metal parts. I don't know what the wood parts. The metal parts will be made of metal. The metal, these are 15 inches long, 1 inch square on the ends, and they need to have a groove cut in them. And this is probably the only difficult part of this. Get somebody who's good with power tools to help you. Don't try this just your first time ever using a router. You'll hurt yourself or hurt somebody else. But what you need is a router bit. It's like a drill, only it's far more terrifying. It just look it up. It's a motor with a drill bit on the end. And what you need to do is build a little jig to hold this so that you can run or do it on a router table if you've got one. And what you do is you cut a groove in this piece of wood. It's 3/16 of an inch wide and 1/2 an inch deep. And you do that twice in 2 pieces, like that. Okay? Hang on, where's the camera? So that's all there is to it. I didn't do a very good job of painting these. Yeah, I was in a bit of a hurry. But that's it. You drill 2 holes. Actually, it's a total of 3 holes. Well, if you count the different sizes, it's more like, just don't worry about it. You're going to drill this one. I forgot how big that one was. But this only goes halfway through. It's 3/4 of an inch. You can do that with a Forstner bit, and that goes on the opposite side of the channel there. I'm going to put this down, by the way, in writing so that you can read the recipe for it. On the other side, the hole's not as big. It's only 3/8 of an inch across. So halfway through, it's the 3/4. The other halfway through, it's 3/8. And there's one other hole you need to pay attention to, and that is a tiny little hole that goes in from the side where the other holes are. Now, you see you've got the through holes, that's where the metal pipe's going to go, and then the little one on the side is just to put a tiny screw in that holds it in place. Okay, I'll show you when we get there. So that's the preparation you need to do is cut that 1 inch by 1 inch, 15-inch lengths, and put the groove in it and then drill the holes. That would be a good time to paint it. If you're going to paint it, I may leave this one unpainted because it's nice. The wood's pretty, but that's up to you. Now, other thing you're going to need, the key element is you're going to need aluminum pipes. These are easy to find on the internet. They're just tubes, aluminum tubes that are, gosh, I forget the dimensions of the thing. Hang on, I wrote it down. They're about 3/8, let me see. I better get it right, eh? They're 13 3/4 inches long, 13 3/4 inches long, and 3/8 of an inch across. And you can see that the wall of the tube's pretty thick. These are pretty stout. And what happens is, of course, these tubes go in the holes that we've made. Now, what you want to do, if you can buy them this way, is buy tubes that have about 1 inch of thread on the bottom. But I don't think you'll find them that way. What you'll have to do is cut the threads, or get somebody else to cut the threads with a die. It's very straightforward to do. If you have a way to narrow the end down. I think they may sell these things already constructed like this that have the screw bit on the end. If you want to know how to do it, I'll show you another time. But it's a bit of a rigmarole to turn that down. But you can do it with a drill actually, and some sandpaper. It just takes a long time. These are going to go in the holes like thusly, and like you saw, it'll go through the smaller of the holes like this, and then it'll come out the bigger of the holes, but it won't be visible, and you'll put a little nut on there. That's the other thing you need, is a nut that's cut to the same size as these threads, and that can be whatever it is you want it to be. And the reason they're hollow is your string's going to go through there. Now, we'll put that together in a minute when we get the picture in. Now, it's important. You're going to be using a special kind of string called parachute cord. And I just happened to have some that was the same design, only in 2 different colors. And I thought that would be nice for the two pictures to complement one another. And this stuff is what they make parachutes out of. So if you are going to get your parachute cord from somebody's parachute, like your dad's parachute, ask first, and don't actually open the parachute and take just the bits you want and then put it back in the bag, because that would be that could be an unpleasant surprise. I mean, the gift would be a lovely surprise. It would be the parachute not opening after Christmas that would be the less good surprise. So what you're going to do is you're going to use these little beads, and I got mine from China, but I've got just bucket loads of the things. I'll send you some if you want them, if you can't find them. These cameras are very nice, and it would be very appropriate given the fact that we're putting pictures in them. So all you do is you take 2 pieces of glass, and these are 12 inches by 12.5 inches. Don't ask me why they're that size. It just seemed like a reasonable size. And you need 2 of them, the same size. And I'm going to attempt to bring one over. Okay, this is not good glass or fancy glass, but it is very clean glass, because I spent ages getting it completely cleaned and not touching it with my fingers. You need 2 pieces like this. Now, if you're going to want this thing to last and you don't want the picture to fade, get the non-glare kind of glass, and get some nice heavy stuff. Don't get plastic. Plastic would look just terrible, but a nice piece of glass like this is fine. Now, the hardest part of this, no, it's not the hardest part. It's actually not hard at all, but I messed it up, so we're going to call it the hardest part. You need to cut a picture to fit this. Now, you can print it with a border and then just cut out what you printed, but I was using pictures that I already had as examples. So to do that, I needed to come up with a size that wouldn't have any border in it and would fit and be dimensional to fit the piece of glass. In other words, a little bit taller than wide. So what I did was cut the print using one of these things that I found at the thrift shop. It's got, I believe, some kind of sinus drainage that's dried on it, but it didn't seem to affect the cutting mechanism at all. So what I did was I measured this and decided that the right size for the print would be about, I think, 11 by 11, and I'd leave a little bit, just make it square and just leave the borders or the edges a little longer on the tops and bottom. It's very important that your lines be straight and that you cut them properly, which is why I strongly suggest using this cutting board, because it cuts straight lines and it doesn't leave any raggedy edges. Because if they're not straight, it will show up so obviously on this. Now, one thing that you have to do, or I had to do, was take just a little bit of double-sided tape, invisible tape. They say it's invisible tape, but I have no trouble seeing that. Can you see that? Yeah, I think it's not truth in advertising. But anyway, you don't need much, just like that much. Now it's invisible, see? There you go. That much is all you need, and that will hold the picture wherever you put it. It is not invisible, but you still can't really see it that clearly from the back, and nobody's going to be looking at it from the back anyway. The first time I did it, I didn't do this, and while I was putting it all together, I coughed, and the picture went scooting off to one side, and it looked ridiculous. So do that, it's worth it. And then all you have to do is, once you've made your sandwich, we're going to pretend that that's the picture, okay? Because I don't want to cut up another picture. I'm going to print the ones to put in Joseph's Christmas present. But let me show you. We'll pretend that's a picture. All you do is put the little piece of tape on it, on the glass, then sit the picture right dead center, and make sure it's in the center before you mash it down with your fingertips. Then put the second piece of glass in the correct orientation right on top of it. You want it to be absolutely flat, no wrinkles, no air bubbles. There wouldn't be air bubbles, would there? Just like that. And here's a top tip, a pro tip, if you will. take a piece of painter's tape, this stuff, the stuff that you put all over things you don't want to paint, and cut just a couple of inches. Oh dear, it does have a bad habit of coming off in strips. There we go. And what you can do is just take a small piece like that and use it to hold the edges of your glass together. The way I did it, you could do it on the edges that are going to be inside the wood, of course, not the ones that are going to be visible. If you just put it down like that, you can take a razor blade then and just trim the excess, and just have enough on each side there to hold it in place. I found it easier to work with when I did that, and you really cannot see it when it's in the wood. Then you take your bits of wood, and they're going to go in only one way. The narrow end, the 12-inch end, not the 12.5-inch, will just slot right into that slot that you cut, like so. It's probably a good idea to put a tiny bit of padding at the bottom of the groove there, so that you're not having just glass hitting the wood. I don't know that it's absolutely necessary, but I took some little bits of foam that I had and cut very thin strips and just tucked, well, here's some of it, and just tucked them down in there to pad the glass so that it wouldn't jar. And then you do the same on the other side. You just stick it in the grooves that you've got prepared on the other side, like so, and there you've got your glass sandwich. Now you noticed I put my sticky tape on the wrong edge. Well, that was a demonstration so you could see how not to do it, but you'd put it on these edges. I'll put it on there so you can see how it truly is invisible. All right, is this fun or what? You weren't expecting a DIY, were you? Probably. Yeah, no comment. I heard somebody say that. All right, that was a good catch. So I'm going to do the same thing with the tape, only on the correct edge. By doing that, it holds the pieces nicely together. So when you slot this on, there you go. It holds it a little bit better. You just want to make sure that your orientation of the holes is the same. You could put this on upside down, the other one. Just match it up with the holes on the side you're already working on. Now, these aren't actually, I said side, these aren't sides. These are top and bottom, the wooden bits are. So you want to have your big holes where the nut shows, right there. I think they should be on the top or the bottom. I can't remember which I did. Either the top or the bottom. I'm going to show you a trick now. You might not have a nut driver that will get down in there and hold that nut while you screw this tube into it. If you just hold a finger over the nut and then twist the tube in the wrong direction, as if you were unscrewing the tube, it will tighten the knot onto the threaded part. Well, not in this case. I did it the wrong way. There you go. And then hopefully you can see now that the nut is starting to tighten down on there. Then just take a pair of pliers. Any old pliers will do. And hold the nut with the end of the pliers. Something like that. You can't see it. There you go. And then twist the rod the rest of the way, and it will seat down in there and it'll be nice and firm. And that's all you've got to do. That's all the assembly that's required. And once it's in, it's not going anywhere. It's good and sturdy. Okay? Do the same on the other side. And then this part of the tube, I've run out of hands. The other end of the tube simply goes into this hole, and that's it. There's nothing you have to do. Well, that's not true. There is one other thing you have to do. Once you get it seated in the hole there, which I'm attempting to do live. There we go. I think it's in. Yeah, it's in. What all you do, the last thing is you put a tiny screw in there to hold it. I used some stuff I had from old bits of furniture, like hinges primarily, and tiny little screws like this thing is all it takes to hold the thing nice and stable. And that just goes right in a hole that you drill and countersink on the back side of the frame. And let me show you how to do the string real quick, because that is the tricky part. There are a couple of things you need to know. If you've never worked with parachute cord before, it's worth knowing. I'm going to tighten this screw, because if I don't, I'll lose it. You'll need these tiny little bits to do this. These small screws. I don't know if that's even in the picture, but yeah, just screw the thing in. Now I polished all of the metal with some German metal polish that I really love. I don't know what I've done with it. It's poisonous, so be careful. Yeah, it put a lovely shine on the aluminum, put a lovely shine on the brass. But that's that. Let me show you how you deal with these bits of parachute cord. What I did was I just took one long piece. Hang on, let me put this in a more reasonable place. I took one long piece. I'll tell you exactly how long it is. It's lost my tape measure. It's 2.5 feet plus 2.5 feet, 5 feet long. What did I do with my tape measure? I really have lost it. Oh well, that'll be interesting to see if it ever shows up again. Amazing how I can lose stuff on my desk. I haven't even gone anywhere. Anyway, I'll measure it so you've got the exact distance. Maybe there's a measurement on this. Yeah, that's in inches. So the total piece of string is 12 inches. So 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet. How long did I say? 5 feet. It's closer to 6 feet. 6 feet long. And they make different sizes of parachute cord. Get one that's, I don't know, that big. Fairly stout. You don't want the flimsy stuff. It won't break, but it wouldn't look as good. In order to get parachute cord to go through metal tubes, and especially long, stretched out metal tubes, you have to put a point on the end of it. Otherwise, without a point or a solid bit, it won't go through. It'll just it all comes unraveled. Let me show you what it looks like. Parachute cord's got stuff on the inside and on the outside. That's what it looks like when you cut it. It looks good for a few seconds, and then it starts to get all frayed like this. And it's useless from that point on. So whenever you cut it, you need to burn the end of it. I'll show you how to do that. I use a blowtorch, but it's probably overkill. This will be the microphone catches fire here in just a second. So you just take your heat and just wave it over, oh, you can't see, over the end of the cord like that. Don't actually let it catch fire. You're just trying to melt it, because it's plastic. Yeah. Once it gets all blobby like that, that's it. I hold it up in the air so that it melts down the way, and this now won't unravel. Now, if you're very careful and you wet your fingers, you can grab this and pull it out a little bit, and it'll put a point on it. But don't do that yourself. Make a neighbor do it, because if you're not quick, it will stick to your fingers and burn. So don't do that. That was not a good thing to suggest. It's what I do. But another way would be to roll it on a solid surface, and it'll form a pointy bit. Then these pointy bits easily will go through your beads. I'm going to have to put a proper tapered point on this because it's not going through my beads. It'll go through the beads and easily push down through that metal tube. And that's it. You'll notice that I didn't tie my I can't get it to work because I'm doing it live. There we go. I didn't tie the stuff. I just used friction by putting this through the bead and then melting the end so that it became too thick to get back out through the bead. That's all you do. That's how you tie them. That is what it should look like if you're going to be putting it through tubes and what have you. It'll go right through the bead, right through the tubes, no problem. And if you want to do that thing that I showed you on the other one and double it through, you can even go back through the same bead. That's hard to see, isn't it, with my hands moving all the time? It's a bit harder to get it to go back through, but you can. With persistence, you just line it up, squeeze them together and push it and twist it. Just do it, figure it out. It's not that hard. You're just putting the string through the hole there. If it's not going, your blob of melted plastic is too big. I can't do this with my arms in the air. It's too demanding. So that's it. I'm not even going to bother finishing that. You know what I'm saying. And then you've got it locked. That's it. That's the DIY thing, because we're out of time. So it's fun. It only took me like 6 days of 10-hour days to do this. So it's a very easy thing for you to do. And yeah, and it'll surprise people unless they watch this video, and then it won't surprise them at all. They'll be waiting to get your hideous picture frame from you for Christmas. I'll put this out of the way so I don't break the glass. I hope my son didn't watch this because I think he's going to like these pictures. I printed off some good ones for him. Let me see, what did I forget to tell you about? I need to look at my... Gosh, I haven't even looked up at the messages to see if anybody's saying anything. For the rods, look at lamp pipe. Well, that's a good idea. Do they have something called lamp pipe? They must have, or you wouldn't have said that. That's Larry telling you that. That's Tangent. So you know the man's going to be helping you with 3D as well. Yeah, that's fantastic. Lamp pipe. Yeah, go look for that. You could print your picture on overhead projector sheets and turn it into a stained glass print. What a good idea. I've got some of those. I've got a whole box of them, wondering what to do with them. That is a brilliant idea. Joseph, a little bit of heat shrink tubing will keep the ends unraveling and compress the cord so it'll go through the openings easily. Well, never thought of that. Yes, it would. I'll do that. You guys are brilliant. Ask Allan what he does to the edges of the glass to keep them from getting cut. The glass man ran a thing over it, an edge thing. Yeah, it's if you look carefully, it's rounded over. I don't know what that's called. It's probably called a chamfer, isn't it? Or a fillet. But you can see at the edges. Well, no, you can't because there's a metal rod in the way. You can see at the edges that the glass is treated with a little. It's like a burr that just sands it down to a smoother, round edge. That's what he asked me if I wanted that, and I said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. As opposed to just leaving it razor sharp, which is the other option. Do be careful if you're using glass. It's tricky stuff. All right, tell him he needs to tweak his lighting because the shadow. Well, I know that. I've been dodging it all throughout the thing. It's driving me nuts. I normally don't use that light, but I used it tonight because I was doing this, but the camera didn't work, so I could have turned that off. Why am I even telling you this? You get it. You understand. I know that it is driving me crazy. Russ, it took me forever, but I finally got to your message yesterday and responded to it. So if you get a message and you don't know what I'm talking about, you've probably forgotten what the question was, but that's okay. All right, we got one from Amy. Tell Allan he just missed me telling a proud liberal that light is the most important thing. It is the most important thing. Without light, yeah, there wouldn't be light. You couldn't see anything. Yeah, it's everything. It is everything. And the better you get, the more you'll realize you don't know anything about light, because that's the nature of photography. The better you get, the less you know about light. It is so mysterious the way the way it works, or it's not mysterious. It's complicated. It's complicated, and you can't change light without changing everything else about the photograph. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. That's a talk for another time. I've got photographs to take for Christmas presents, but I'm going to have to go do that in just a few minutes, so I won't be dallying this evening. I'm going to get into chat though and say hi. Warning: the stream's current bitrate is lower than recommended. I wonder why that is. Have been problems with the picture at all today? I wonder if I have. Nope, I don't really have anything different going on. Don't know what that is. We'll leave it be. It wants me to open the widget. Should I do that, seeing as we're at the end? I'm going to open the widget and see what happens. It says good. Stream health good. Good connection. We haven't had any dropped frames or anything, so I'm going to ignore it. Thumbs up. Yeah, that's a good idea. Thanks, Gary. I appreciate that. Bevels on glass edges. Hot glass studio, wet belt sander. Yeah. There is no way I'm going to end up in a studio with hot glass and a belt sander, unless I have an appointment at the hospital for my emergency operation, because that's where I would end up for sure. What's everybody doing for Christmas? You got plans? You want to cook dinner for me? Oh dear, I'm sure everybody's got great plans, but yeah, I am going to be there as always. So look for me on Saturday at the Presume, Tuesday for the Boxing Day special, and yeah, I think that that will just about do it. Let me see if I missed anything. I was going to ask to get a show of hands, XQD or CF Express Type B. What do you think? Is any difference? Big difference in price. What do you think? CF Express B, right? That would be my guess. Joseph, what do you say on that? XQD or CF? So we've already talked about Tangent, who's my spirit guide for all things 3D, and he and I are going to be working together in January on the 20th. You just must not miss that. It's going to be so much fun, and we're going to learn a lot. And that's, I think I got to everything. I did. I got to at least everything I could read. There is some stuff on there I scribbled and I can't read it. So I am going to disappear for a while. I'll see you on Thursday, 2:00 in the afternoon, for the last thing before Christmas, basically. So come along for that one if you have any intelligent, well, it doesn't have to be intelligent. If you have any feedback at all on the stream, on what you want to see happen, and by extension, the channel, but it's mostly the stream. I want to make sure that we get next year off to a good start and we do the stuff that you want to do. So let me know. More of this, something different. I'm all ears. You want more of them or less of them? Yeah, you tell me. I'll do it. I am going to... Do you know how much this weighs? I don't either, but it is heavy. This is a big chunk of glass and metal. Very surprising when you pick it up how heavy this is. I can't wait. I'll put some pictures. I'm going to be over in Discord tonight setting up that channel. So I'll put a couple of those chip pictures from my die over on Discord, just so you can see. Thank you, Susan, for this just amazing help to get this equipment in my hands. I really, really do appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you guys on Thursday. Thanks for coming. Thanks for everything you do. And I'll see you before long, 48 hours or so. Take care. Be well.